4, 3.
Good evening and welcome to this public hearing being sponsored by the Joint Government Accountability Committee. This is Thursday, January 28th, 2021. I am Senator Brian Collmore, co-chair of the committee. In just a moment, I'll hand the proceedings over to my co-chair, Representative Maida Townsend. I'm joined this evening by members of the Joint Government Accountability Committee, Senator Jeanette White, Senator Randy Brock, and Senator Alice Nitka, along with Representatives Emily Kornheiser and Representative Jessica Brumstead. Also joining us are Sue Zeller, the Chief Performance Officer for the state of Vermont, Susanna Davis, who is the Executive Director of Racial Equity. Scheduled to join us was Representative Kevin Christie from the Social Equity Caucus and Drew Restley, the Director of Performance Improvement at the Agency of Human Services. We're holding this evening's public hearing in response to Act 166, which was passed into law and signed on October 7th, 2020. In Section 17 of that act, there was a provision which directed the committee, the Government Accountability Committee, to consult with the Executive Director of Racial Equity, the Social Equity Caucus, and the Chief Performance Officer, and to accept recommendations from other relevant entities in order to approve by March 1st, 2021, population level indicators that demonstrate the quality of life for Vermonters who are BIPOC as those indicators relate to the existing state outcomes. The information we received tonight from testimony here and from written testimony will be used to consider indicators to approve and then send to the Chief Performance Officer. I'd like now to introduce the co-chair of the committee, Representative Maida Townsend, who will outline the way in which we will proceed this evening. Maida?
Thank you, Senator Collmore, and good evening and welcome to all. This Zoom platform is our virtual State House, and this hearing is live as well as recorded on YouTube. Because we are in our virtual State House, the decorum expected when in the actual building is in place for all of us throughout this hearing. This is how we will proceed. I will call each witness one by one, and I will also indicate who is next in line so that you can prepare to make that move with support from our IT team. When you are in the virtual witness chair, you will see yourself in one of the tiles on the screen. I will welcome each of you by saying the following sentences. Thank you for being here. We will begin the timer when you start. Go ahead when you are ready, and please begin by identifying yourself. Witnesses should be able to see the timer tile. To help you with the timing, Senator Collmore will indicate when the timer is at 30 seconds remaining. If you are not able to complete your testimony, please remember that written testimony is welcome. We will now begin the hearing with our first witness, Alicia Barrow, followed by Wichi Artu. Is Alicia here? Not seeing Alicia. Alicia is not here. I just saw that word from our IT team. So we will have Wichi Artu, followed by Hannah Sadek. Wichi, thank you for being here. We will begin the timer when you start. Go ahead when you are ready, and please begin by identifying yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My name is Wichi Artu. I'm a member of the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital's Council on Racial Equity, the Vermont Racial Equity Task Force, the Brattleboro Area BIPOC Health Justice Committee, the Racial Justice Organizing Leadership and BIPOC Caucus at the Roots Social Justice Center, the NAACP of Windham County, and the COVID Vaccine Advisory Committee. And today I come to you as a BIPOC resident of Athens, Vermont, in Windham County. I partnered with Diana Wally, who's a co-founder of the Brattleboro Area Community Equity Collaborative and staff of the Windham Southeast School District, to submit a letter to accompany my testimony. I'm here to talk about population indicators and performance measures, not only to recruit that help recruit BIPOC, but ensure that they stay here. And given my ongoing analysis of how COVID has heavily impacted our BIPOC communities, I am approaching this testimony through the American Medical Association's framework of impacts on public health, which include socioeconomic, environmental, behavioral, and healthcare services impacts. The letter goes into deeper detail, but BIPOC metrics that should be included are housing access and land ownership, wage and benefits, especially paid sick leave and access to health insurance, school success rates, especially the impacts of student resource access, such as dropping out of college due to lack of financial means, prevention of chronic diseases, and empowering BIPOC to attain and stay in elected positions, especially in light of yesterday's announcement that another woman of color has been forced off another position due to threats to her and her family, this time in the Hartford Select Board. We also recommend having a centralized race data platform where each branch of state government monitors and contributes to the platform as related to the department's functions. We also recommend that the 8 state outcomes of well-being, along with regional population indicators, all be broken down to be disaggregated on racial disparities. And finally, we recommend that there is continuing involvement of BIPOC community organizations and leaders in this ongoing process, especially those outside of Chittenden, and especially that this labor be paid for, as we do not want to reinforce ideals of slavery by having BIPOC communities perform uncompensated labor for a white majority governing authority. So I want to thank you for your time, your consideration, and ongoing commitment to racial equity.
Thank you very much, Wichi. Hannah Sadek, followed by Miyakoda Schultz. Is Hannah here? Hannah, welcome.
Hi, all.
Thank you for being here. We will begin the timer when you start. Go ahead when you are ready, and please begin by identifying yourself.
Wonderful. So my name is Hannah Sadek. I use they, them, and Z here pronouns, and I am a lifelong Vermonter and resident of Cavendish, Vermont, which means that I've been held and raised on the land that is truly of the Abenaki peoples. And I'm speaking not for the groups I'm a part of, but I do want to name them because they are a part of the reason I'm doing so well right now. And the first one is the Vermont Relief Collective, which is a network by and for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, advancing racial equity in land, environment, agriculture, and foodways, and also Unlikely Riders, which is a Vermont BIPOC collective mobilizing our community to find healing with the mountains while claiming space in the snow sports industry and culture. So I don't know too much what to say right now, but really being here my whole life, 25 years, and it's really been the past 6, 7, 8 months being in intentional, deliberate community with other BIPOC Vermonters where I have been okay. And so looking through kind of what would indicate that we're going to be okay, and what, like, I don't know, just basically what it's already been mentioned is retention of our community. And just speaking from my perspective, anything that can be done for this, to center us, to see us, to make sure that we're safe and affirmed, it really is life-changing and has made a huge, huge impact for me. And so I just wanted to speak to that. So thank you all very much for letting me speak. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Hannah. We now have Miyakoda Schultz, followed by Jessica Lee Smith. Mia? Is Mia here? We have Jessica Lee Smith. I see. Welcome, Jessica. Thank you for being here. We will begin the timer when you start. Go ahead when you are ready, and please begin by identifying yourself.
My name is Jessica Lee Smith. I'm not from here, but I grew up half the time here. My father had a house here. Now I moved here with all of my heart. I absolutely love Vermont. I came with stars in my eyes that you guys could do no wrong. But I would absolutely agree with 100% what the first speaker said, the second and the third. We really need as much help as possible. We can't get into the housing. We're not being, we're on the chopping block when it comes to funds for education. We're not being protected within the communities. I mean, I've lived here for 3 years. I've not been shown one rental. I've been told nobody's going to take me. I'm not saying it's because of this, that, or the other, whatever it's because of. It's some form of, you're not being given even the chance. And if you want people to stay here, they need to be able to feel safe here, to feel welcome here, and to not feel like they can't get into the community after 3 years. And 100% on what they said. The open and effective government thing, people are turning off the chats because they don't want to hear my questions. And I'm showing support for the state. I shouldn't be shut off. Open meeting laws do not mean that one guy on the board who's popular can stop you from talking. We need to have an open place to speak also, about our feelings. Just because one person on the board decides they don't want to hear it doesn't mean we shouldn't. They'll have the opportunity to answer that. In education, even my kids have been affected about money. It's still coming out. I don't know if it's race, money, color. I don't know what it could be. It could be a number of things. But it's everywhere I go. It's every place. And the privacy laws are not being protected for people like us. In addition to the fact that I know that this one guy's here from Family United, that our families are being more affected by false reports to CPS to bully us out of areas and schools, etc. That all needs to be handled. And I don't know how it's being handled with all this, with this 1, 2, 3 science thing. How are you going to find out? You need people on the ground, like the girl was saying. You need organizations that support people like us, that welcome us into the community. We need to be able to be given a chance. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica. Is Eugene here? Eugene Drakes? Yes, welcome, Eugene. Thank you for being here. We will begin the timer when you start. Go ahead when you are ready, and please begin by identifying yourself. Eugene, you're muted. There you go.
I just saw that. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eugene Drakes. I live and work in southern Vermont. I have already emailed my brief suggestions regarding improving Act 186 to positively impact the lives of Black, Indigenous, or people of color in Vermont. However, in practicing what I am preaching, I'm also pleased to submit 3 of my suggestions to you in person to help us focus on improving racial equity in Vermont. My first suggestion is that employers who receive any type of state funding should annually submit data on turnover by BIPOC employees as a percentage of the turnover of all employees in their organizations. Second, hospitals should report data on health quality indicators for BIPOC patients compared with the quality indicators for non-BIPOC patients. Third, chambers of commerce and organizations that promote tourism in Vermont should show more posters of non-white farm workers who help to sustain Vermont's vibrant agriculture and dairy industry. The last suggestion, I believe, is one that will help us to remember people who may not otherwise be visible, but who contribute greatly to the image of Vermont as a state that values its farm and dairy industry. Thank you for giving me the chance to contribute my thoughts to help move us forward towards a future that is more inclusive of Vermonters who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Imogene. Do we have either Alicia Barrow or Miyakota Schultz? I believe then, and here we just have confirmation that those two individuals are not with us here tonight. Senator Collmore, I have gone through our list.
Thank you very much, Representative Townsend. On behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank time this evening to let us know their thoughts, and also those who have provided written testimony. Your suggestions and your input are important. We will use them to consider any appropriate indicators to approve and then send on to the Chief Performance Officer. I thank the other members of the committee, along with David, Coach Christie, and also Drew Resley for joining us tonight. And I want to thank our IT folks who trust us. We would not have been able to pull this off without them pulling strings behind the scenes. We do enough damage when we're in person. So when we're virtual, it's sometimes even more difficult. So thank you, everyone.